So, as you may already know, the story begins on 27th of April, when Kyle Vanderkamp upended my documentary series Now I Can Change the World, with news that Harrison Wyld, green tech billionaire, had been funding a clandestine geoengineering venture called Bluebird, which was about to enter a phase of real-world implementation. Okay. There I was in the edit suite, and this SMS came in on the phone. Episode 1 had gone to air already, and episode 2 was due later in the week. But suddenly, everything was different. Harrison had been the focus of Ep 2, but Kyle's allegations were too sensational to overlook. So Ep 2 got shelved, and I started investigating Bluebird. That was nearly 3 weeks ago, and now there's more than 500 of us investigating. Thousands more watching what's going on. Lunter and Kyle were right to make their investigation public because crowdsourcing works. Here we are, 3.5 weeks in, and we're well on the way to proving Kyle's original assertions. Although, as we began to realise last week, some of the answers and analysis that are emerging are actually more intriguing than Kyle's original claims that he made in his YouTube video. So, this has been the busiest week so far. We have silos, balloons, rockets, hoses to the sky, shrooms of doom, thanks to Sully. We have meetings between Harrison and Paul that by date show the progression of an idea, an ideology really, as it becomes a reality. And that reality may be on a massive scale. There is some kind of pact between these two men. It's almost Faustian. It's interesting for me because I met Harrison in October. In fact, it was very soon after we see them specifically decide to move out of R&D and into reality. When I met him, he was full of beans, the confident, independent, rather charming billionaire that I'd read about. So he didn't land on the lawn in a jetpack, as he has done for some people, but that charisma and confidence and almost naive outlook. Well, if he wasn't a billionaire, you actually might feel worried for him. But now we've met Kruger, I have found myself feeling worried for Harrison. A couple of weeks ago, Genome commented in the DC that he didn't think Harrison was a bad man. Well, bad or not, he's definitely vulnerable to Paul. Paul Kruger. He really is quite impressive in a scary way. He's so convinced of his outlook. He's like the embodiment of some of the more extreme-sounding ideas about climate change, a sort of James Lovelock prediction incarnate. Throughout the videos that have been unlocked, he holds Harrison ever more tightly. It's almost like a vice, like an ideological vice. There seems to be no question that they've been building something for the past few months. We've got to find out where. And as many in the DC have pointed out, it's likely to be spread out in several locations. But the so-called array is the thing that I'm most worried about. Paul talks about massive implementation. DC members have disproved rockets would work for this. Zed, Doberman and Bogan especially. And balloons, well, again, you'd need so many. But the recent theories of hoses to the sky, crazy though it sounds, that seems to be the thing. Incredible that silence surrounds Harrison still. Paul I can understand. I too would have my head down with this kind of exposure. But Harrison is virtually discredited at this stage. I mean, scandals don't get much bigger than this. For all we know, he's still in Bhutan, trekking the snowman. Watching that password break on Monday was so exciting, by the way. All right, we also have Bluebird's corporate message working very hard to argue that research and development into geoengineering is required, but denying any allegations of implementation. It's a compelling message, I have to say. The more you look at GE, the more you realise we're already planning for it. It looks more and more as though Paul and Harrison kept things to themselves. The way they discuss dispersing the proprietary order phase, the fact that only 3 other people know. I reckon Go Bluebird adds to this evidence that Paul and Harrison were operating on their own by this point. Kyle's car blew up this week at 3 a.m. apparently. I've had a couple of emails to and fro with him. Cards cancelled and exploding cars obviously equals dangerous harassment. The last message I got from him, he said that he and Lunter were onto something huge, but he says it could be a few days before they can share it. We're close now. You watch some investigations out in the world take months and years. The DC's uncovered so much and it's thrown up so many interesting theories. It's great work. Some of the discussions about the ethics and implications of geoengineering and its methods, they really are excellent and informed contributions to the public debate. So I'll finish up by mentioning the outside world again. I've been given an MP3 file which contains an extended interview made by the radio program The Science Show. In it, Ken Caldera, Peter Cox and Bjorn Lomborg discuss exactly what's been happening to us in the last few weeks. It's really quite uncanny. Now, my feeling is that we're going to be closer to some resolutions in the coming week. Bluebird's bubble has to burst. How can it not? So download and have a listen to that MP3 file. It's on my website, Now I Can Change the World, and also in the new DC content folder. Bye for now.